Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
Not too bad. What are we up to this time, Paul?
So, you probably have noticed that this is also a pre-record. This is because it's during the holiday period, and we kind of want to see family and stuff like that. So, happy Christmas to you, happy holidays, happy any kind of celebration that you do around this. Yeah. So, So today we're going to talk about toys. I know that's a little bit off, I guess, subject of what we generally do, but you'll find out that we have probably some that also coincide back into our general topic area, kind of thing. But we're going to be talking about toys, specifically toys in which we didn't get, but we had friends that possibly had them.
Yeah.
So a twist on the kind of like this is a horrible one where we got to be envious of other people.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Paul, I cheated a little bit. I took the edge off. When I was looking for one thing, I found an image of something else that I actually had. And I was like,
Ooh.
oh, I just want to show that I was lucky enough to have this. And if I could find it again, I would have it all over again. I got hours of fun out of it. You have to wait and see what it is, though. So yeah, it's not just any toy show, folks. It's to hear us out why we were angry at our richer friends' toy show. There'll be a bit of begrudgery somewhere along the line here, Paul. Just a little bit. But we're going to keep the happy holiday spirit all positive, except for one rich neighbour, and I'll talk about him in a moment.
Of course.
So, Paul, I'm going to flick it over, and I'm going to suggest we go with one of your toys first.
Oh, do you want? As in, should I just randomly pick one of mine and
let's go for it.
I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna go for one that's probably like is a universal one that I think a lot of people that are moviegoers and us alike and toy aficionados and children and imaginers will go for. It's probably the X-wing.
Okay.
That's probably the X-wing from Star Wars is probably an iconic kind of toy that I never got, but I had friends who had them, not just one, of course.
What?
Yeah, because you needed multiple when you were attacking some kind of base or some kind of
It's true.
Thing. They also had the added advantage of getting probably a couple more of the Star Wars toys as well, like TIE fighters and the AT-ATs and stuff like that. But the X-wing and the Millennium Falcon, the two, because I actually was lucky enough to get a Millennium Falcon.
Oh,
never got an X-wing though.
Yeah.
Even though that was the one that I wanted more.
And I can kind of understand it now. I know what I'm going to have to show next because I also, as is typical, there was Star Wars toys. Which I didn't really have. I've got a minor story that I'll share with you in a moment. But man, if you went round to somebody else's house and they had multiple X-wings, at least did they at least let you play with one?
Oh yeah, no, of course they let us play, but it only drove that kind of like I want to have more. Like I got to play with it. I got to like it's so cool. I never got to be Luke, of course. But you don't really.
You're Wedge Antilles. Or
yeah,
could be worse. It could be me, Porkins. I'm out there, gold leader or whatever.
You're not Porkins.
I like Y-wings, so I'm okay with it. I thought they were cool.
Y-wings are pretty cool. B-wings are also awesome. A-wings, not so much. They're weird. Even though all of those ones were also made into toys, B-wing was probably the weirdest one.
That's true.
Because it was an X.
And the weird thing is here, folks, for anybody who's not keeping up, not all our toys are going to be Star Wars. No. Just the first few minutes, because I'm going to be bringing it up right away.
Yeah, I think anyone of moviegoer kind of like anyone who enjoys movies a lot, I think grew up with the wanting of some kind of Star Wars toy as well, kind of thing. And for me, it was the X-wing. So.
If you were below the age of 40 in 1980, you probably wanted, because let's face it, adults today still want Star Wars merch. And the X-Wing is like, it's that and the Millennium Falcon are the two iconic picks. They really are. So I can see why you want an X-Wing. It's a very personal thing. It's very, you are Luke Skywalker, you're the hero of the piece. Even though we all kind of probably I liked Han Solo more, having an X-Wing would have rocked. Really would.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then I better throw up my Star Wars, Paul. I've thrown up a mess of stuff on here because I wanted a Millennium Falcon. I didn't get
Yeah.
it. But what I actually wanted weirdly more was the AT-AT. Why? Again, rich friend round their house, and they had walkers all over the place. Like, it was like they were herding things. I thought they were going to attack Hoth. It was just, it was so hard because they were so used to them and they were just knocking them around the place. And I'm like, if I had that, I would hug it. I would speak to it gently like it was a cat. I really wanted an AT-AT. Jedi is not everybody's favorite movie, but there are a few things from that I would have been digging. Except, what's the fun in having one of the bikes?
The speeders.
Speeder. A speeder bike would have been fun because I love that sequence, and there's no denying it's a great sequence in the forest. But for me, it was Empire Strikes Back. It was, as toys go, even though they're the bad guys, there was something super cool about those big, dirty, bloody camels or horses or whatever they were supposed to invoke.
Yeah, I think the AT-ATs and the chicken walkers. I think they're two of the most iconic kind of toys as well. That certain people had, and not other people. Everybody else wanted, kind of thing.
Well,
Now,
they were big bucks, to be fair. Like, it was huge money. When I was a kid, they were new, and it was huge money.
yeah, I guess that's like from mine. I think they were probably like second or third iteration of those kind of toys, so they kind of probably built in a little bit more kind of like stuff to them. Because I do know that the Millennium Falcon I got was probably a second or third generation, print or like molding, setting or whatever you call it, kind of thing. Whereas the X-wing that you saw originally was actually one of the original ones, which is what my friend had. He had one of those and then one of the newer ones. And the reason I know that, this is really nerdy. The reason I know that it was an original one is because it has space for R2-D2. Whereas the newer ones had an R2-D2 head in it.
Nice.
So that's the one you want. That's the one you want.
That is the one you want. And folks, mark my words, if we can get 1 million subscribers, I will find an original for Paul. Because I think we'd need 1 million subscribers and to be making YouTube money for me to be able to afford one. I assume although they were mass produced, they're probably hard to get your hands on.
That's the thing. Because I do have one toy, just to go... last thing on Star Wars for myself, I have Slave 1, Boba Fett's ship.
Which, with The Mandalorian happening last year and the year before, that's kind of cool. Do you know where it is? Is it still in existence?
Yeah,
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's still in my parents' house, because I was one of those nerd kids who made sure that everything stayed together kind of thing. I've also the Naboo fighter, the yellow thing, which... My only story about that was I thought I was getting an X-Wing. Wasn't getting an X-Wing. I got a Naboo fighter. So, yeah.
That sucks. Well, at least you didn't return home for the first time 2 weeks after you moved out to find a small bonfire, quite literally a fire. I grew up in the country, folks, for anybody's wondering how you can light a fire next to your house. Be from the country. Yeah, I was like, what are you burning out there? It's like, that's your bed. And a lot of your stuff. This is great. We have the room now. I'm like, cool. So I started picking up anything that hadn't been thrown out. Yeah, and a load of stuff was given away. So that's where this story comes in. I'm about to show you. See all those little figurines? I didn't have an R2. I didn't have a Chewie. I didn't have Han or Leia. I had these two guys. I had the stamp press guy from inside the Jawas thing, and I had the they're called OR-5 units, I think they were. Basically, it's the one that blows up that Luke is originally going to take. And you know what? Yeah. They were second hand, and they were from, and it was when I was much older, second hand from like a swap meet from like a local kind of bring and sell, and I got them for a couple of quid, and I thought they were the best thing in the world. And then when I left home, I came back and I was like, I have a little box of these things somewhere. Oh yeah, no, that was all gone straight away. All sold for like £1, which if anybody remembers those, that's what existed before euros. Yeah, so I didn't have any Star Wars gear really at all until much older, and then it was some secondhand stuff that I still really liked. You know, it was great. You can't beat a bit of Star Wars toys.
You can't. No, there's just something magical about having that piece of memorabilia and merch from the shows, kind of, or from the movies. You know.
Well, now
So
that we've
especially
had our Star Wars fix, what non for anybody who stayed with us and isn't into Star Wars, what
yeah.
non Star Wars thing have you got on your list?
I'm gonna go for a little bit more recent. I'm gonna go for the Street Sharks. Um,
This one needs
this
an explanation for me. These guys look
okay.
awesome.
So this is the thing. So this is the Street Sharks. This was like a cartoon from like 1996 between 1996 to 1999. This was like the era of kind of like Hasbro and those kind of toy companies kind of seeing the value of the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles and kind of going, let's kind of like,
do it again.
guess, yeah, kind of thing. And they came up with Street Sharks, which is essentially a bunch of brothers, which is actually so the there's not all of these are kind of like the brothers, but the Hammerheads, the Great White, the kind of brown one, and then top row, the middle two, the bottom row, the one in the middle, and then I think in the middle row it's the one on the far left. Were the brothers? They were the original characters from it.
I think they look
just
awesome.
they're amazing.
I missed this completely because I was busy wondering why my bed had just been burned. But this is truly awesome. Except I'm going to be that guy. That bottom right hand corner looks like orca. It looks like a killer whale.
Yep.
Not a shark.
Yeah. No.
Right.
So they had. So this is the brothers were sharks, different types of sharks. Then they had friends who were either sharks or other animals that were like mostly like killer whales or
with the odd stingray, maybe
dolphins,
a bit of a flat face.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, like the main bad guy was a piranha. Was a guy like with a piranha face kind of thing.
Piranhas need a better PR guy. They really do, don't they?
Yeah. They're always the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like everything James Bond.
Exactly.
But it was around the same time as like SWAT cats and that kind of like like mutation, the newer version of like Biker Mice from Mars kind of like happened. Then it was a big push. My friend had these. He had the brothers, and they had a car, a little beach buggy car,
Cool.
that they drove around in. So we also had that, and like. I remember going, like, I was just like, I really like Street Sharks. It's an amazing show. And then I went to my friend's house and he was just like, here, have a look at this. And then he brought it out and I was just like blew my mind that they had Street Shark toys and kind of thing.
That's good. Was he a decent dude? Again, is this one of the people that you get to play with the toys sort of thing or have a bit of crack with?
Yeah. There's one on this list that I never got to play with, but most of the other ones I did. So, but Street Sharks was Street Sharks was great to kind of get to play with and stuff.
I love that. Like one of them is like playing like a BC Rich style guitar, and the guy in the dead center, so third over in the middle row, is he holding? Is that like a sword? Like
I think it's a rapier. Like I think it is.
So he's actually a fencing tiger or fencing street shark.
Yeah, like like most of them had some kind of gimmick
Awesome.
kind of thing. The interesting thing was they could jump into the ground, and the only thing you would see is their fins, like in the street, kind of thing. That was one of their abilities. Was actually like going underground and kind of like
swimming like a shark with just ground.
Yeah. Kind of thing. That's one of their powers, which is ridiculous.
Did it ever get to cross over with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or anything?
I think it did. I'm not sure. It either got to go with Street Sharks or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something else.
I'd love to see that because the guy with the rapier there, I'd love fencing shark to just have Raphael or Leonardo or somebody walk past with their bow or their nunchucks or whatever it is and be like, sword, nice, okay,
yeah.
very, very good. Anthropomorphized radioactive animal crossovers with weaponry, cool.
Yeah. Like they're not already dangerous enough with like rows upon rows of teeth that grow real quick, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Joel's worth the part.
And
But yeah,
they
that
they
was
don't look like they all look like they've hit the gym or hit the roids or maybe both. But I guess when you're a radioactive man shark, you're going to end up with biceps. Like they look like they could do damage without a weapon. That's true.
I don't think they I don't think they care about any kind of like drug laws or anything like that.
Yeah,
Some
well,
kind of
they're not allowed to.
no.
Well, that's a
Kind of
cool
thing.
one. And just we should take this moment for anybody watching right now. Not only happy everything and happy holidays, and anybody watching in the future. If you're into any of the things we mentioned, get in the comments down below. Tell us your stories. Tell us what the toys that you missed out on, or the one that you got that was just your favorite. We'd love to hear the stories. Forget all the liking and subscribing and sharing and all that stuff today. Just get your stories in. It would be really, really, really awesome. Paul, I don't know how to transition from Street Sharks. So I've got to now pick. I'll tell you what I will pick. I'll pick something that is that I had it, but here's one of the things I wanted. And it's going to take a small bit of explanation, but it's to do with the A-Team. A lot of my stuff is TV related because obviously when you're little, you don't get to go to the cinema as much, and movies were a little bit older.
Yeah.
I also am into vehicles, into cars and stuff. And I grew up at a time that was the golden era for that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the A-Team, I loved the van. Absolutely loved the A-Team van. But I really liked Murdoch and his helicopter. So I did get, and I couldn't find a picture of it, I did get an A-Team helicopter that was
Oh,
absolutely massive. Like, by today's standards, it's this big. But for me, it wasn't
yeah.
like a little tiny one. It was one that I could hold the back end of and spin the thing with the other hand. It was wicked. Absolutely
Say so.
brilliant. But you know what size it was when the following year I was lucky enough, because that was obviously a huge hit with me. I was lucky enough to get the A-Team set that's on screen down below, and Murdoch is right there, and that came with. And if you look closely, you see them doing parachutes. It came with the little fold-up parachutes that you could like attach and throw them off, balconies and roofs.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And the boat and all the little sandbag encampments and the flag. I remember all of those pieces. I remember there's a flamethrower in there. You mightn't be able to see it, but there is. I can tell you what's underneath the bit that's obscured because I loved this set. Except for one thing. Guess where Murdoch couldn't fit? Into
Oh
last year's
no.
helicopter.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking.
Only I'm glad they were the size they were, but a couple of degrees smaller in scale, we would have been flying around jumping out of said helicopter rather than being held along the side of helicopter and then just being let go. Um, but what I did not get, and I really loved, I don't know if you remember those because they weren't massively popular, I don't think, and they were quite an American thing. I got them quite often in America. The little key cars. So that orange key shoves into the back of that A-Team van, and then you squeeze the key and the van shoots off. So when you shove it in, you're compressing a spring,
Oh yeah.
and then you push it and it shoots the car. I had a
Yeah.
couple of those and I absolutely loved them. If I could have had the A-Team van as one of those, it would have been perfectly hilarious to have a giant BA right beside a tiny van and then the medium-sized helicopter that nothing fit. But yeah, I love those key car things. So I've already promised myself I'm going to go online and have a look and see if I can find some unwanted old car key car things.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't bring big money, so I'll see. You never know, I might even find an A-Team Corvette, a little white car with a red stripe.
Wow.
I,
That's an
I,
old. That's
that's deep cut for A-Team car TV stuff.
or the Cadillac one. Remember, like in the I think it's one of the first episodes, the white Cadillac as well.
Oh crikey, jeez, good memory. Don't you dare out car nerd me.
I don't.
Leave
Well,
me
I don't
this
know what
one
cattle.
thing.
I just remember the face had it. That's it.
Yeah, it was in the intro. Anyway, I was very lucky to get the A-Team toys that I did get, but just like you, lucky to have the Millennium Falcon. There's always the one that got away, and in this case, the Murdoch that wouldn't fit the one that I did get, which I still thank my parents so much for
Of
indulging that
course.
though. So, away from the A team, I know you didn't have any A team on yours. We very luckily,
No.
folks, we didn't cross over. We came close in a few of these, though.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna. Yeah. I'll go to the next one, which is from Red Dwarf, um, which is Starbug. So people might not know this. This was a BBC show. It was a sci-fi show, sci-fi comedy show about a mining ship where um, the main character, Lister, got essentially frozen, and he comes out of cryo freeze, and the crew of the Red Dwarf are all gone, and the only things that are left are essentially, or the only one thing that's left is the evolved the evolved cat that
Yep.
he had illegally in his cabin. Holly, the holographic interface for the ship, and then a hologram of his probably most annoying co-crew or crew member, Rimmer. But later on in the series, they have to escape in Starbug, which is the little green spaceship that has a lot of the series involves around as they travel around the world. This came out as like it's like a Polly Pocket, or what's this? Mad Max? What, it wasn't Mad
Micro
Max.
Machines or one of those type of things.
There's it's like, I can't remember what it was. It was like the boy version of like the
Polly
Polly
Pocket
Pocket
range.
kind of things. Yeah. This is very much like it. It opened up and you could move like the Rimmer or Lister or Crichton or characters around it in the kind of like small thing.
I loved Red Dwarf, so this is right up my. I had no idea this existed.
Yeah, like a friend of mine had it, and I was just stunned because it was at the time where I thought I was literally the only person, bar my sister, that watched Red Dwarf.
Yeah,
Because none of my friends had heard about it or anything like that. And then there was just a guy in school who just, I don't think he knew what it was from. I will say that.
Oh, wow.
And he had it. And I was ultimately jealous because I was just like, oh my god, you have like Starbug kind of thing. So.
Oh well, like I made a friend in school purely around the basis that they had seen a few things that nobody else had that I had also seen. Red Dwarf was one of their things. You know, nobody else was interested in all that kind of nerdy stuff. This kid and me were able to talk about last night's episode of Red Dwarf and Starbug. As far as ship design goes, and kind of vehicular space design for TV, I think it's an all-time classic.
It's very reminiscent of like Space Odyssey 2001.
You got the circular, you got the bubbles essentially.
Yeah, like it's very kind of like intuitive to that.
It's a perfect homage to a lot of things that it was sending up in and of itself. If anybody who hasn't watched Red Dwarf, you'll find it on one of the various streaming services, I'm sure. Even in the States, I know that it's been released on streamers. Get yourselves watching some Red Dwarf. Some of the humour will have aged out, but trust me, not all of it. Red Dwarf's a classic. And Starbug would be the coolest thing to have from Red Dwarf, to be fair.
Yeah, like I don't think they did an actual Red Dwarf, because Red Dwarf was the actual ship, the actual mining ship.
It was a big ugly red mining ship. It would look like a big red brick.
Here's a question: was it attached? Like, was the original one look like it was attached to an asteroid, or am I imagining that?
You are not, because the front part of it had these kind of spokes and spines and kind of an asteroid catching, not a dish, but an umbrella shape like
a
that.
Net thing? Yeah,
like a net, exactly.
Yeah, it looks because I remember it looking like it was like weirdly attached in some way to an asteroid.
It's you know what, dude. If we get 2 million subscribers, you get an X-wing and a Starbug.
Well, we'll have to get you. We'll have to get you we'll have to get you one of the AT-ATs and
but most of my stuff is going to be cheap enough that we can probably say at 50 more subscribers, a lot of my stuff is, other than the Star Wars stuff, a lot of my stuff will be cheap. I think, I hope anyway, because I'm going to try and get myself some of it. Here's a crossover for us, Paul. Sticking with TV and sticking with kid stuff and staying away from cars. He-Man, and the Masters of the Universe. So, this is all these things come with a story. This comes with a story of a very nice kid, a guy I'd love to catch up with, and I will do again someday. He had a ton of He-Man stuff, but it's because he was one of four brothers. He had an older brother and two younger brothers, so he was at the right age to be able to benefit from both sides. So they were all getting A-Team stuff. So they had like the A-Team, Castle Eternia. They had Skeletor. They had all the bad guys, all the good guys. They had what was his trusty steed there?
Lionel?
Cringer.
No, I know.
Cringer.
Yeah.
Yeah, him with all the different battle armors that you could snap on. But my favorite, which is the one I've highlighted, which I was calling him Man at Arms the last time we ever talked about this, and that was completely wrong because that's his mate. It's Man-E Faces. Yes, Man-E Faces. Because that's what they did to kids when we were young.
Yeah, they gave you pun names.
Yeah.
Because Man at Arms is literally just a man at arms, and he's like one of He-Man's like friends, and then this Men-E Faces.
Yeah.
Man-E
Face Man, and it's actually written Man-E-Faces. Like they didn't even try in a lot of ways. But what I will say is that I love this guy because of all, like, a lot of them had the elastic band arm chop action and stuff like that. But this guy, the idea that you could just spin the thing on top of his head and he'd have a different face. When you're like me, and let's face it, a storyteller at heart, that just leaves you so much more open for theatrics when you're playing with this guy's toys. And he was great. It was always like, he had a big bucket of Lego too, and I didn't have a whole lot of Lego. I absolutely loved Lego. While him and his brothers were watching one of the bad Irish TV shows that I won't mention because Irish people will hate me for not liking it, I'd be like, well, you guys are watching that. Can I go and, mess with the Lego? And they're like, fire ahead. And then they come back and they'd find me making the world's longest Lego rod. Just because I'd never been around that much Lego before. But same thing with this. They were big into let's all play He-Man and go bananas. Really, really cool people. I stayed in their house once a week while my sisters were off doing something else and I had to, waste time after school. I absolutely could not care less about He-Man now. But I have such an affection for He-Man because of the good times I spent in that lovely family's house while eating their food, waiting to be picked up, and playing with all their cool toys.
Yeah, I get that completely. Because that was also very reminiscent of like the 80s as well, with the whole like spinny. Because the original Transformers movie had that robot that had the faces that changed. Many faces, Manny faces had it. There's like a few others, kind of thing that I can't remember.
But there was definitely. I think they reused the molds in a lot of ways. A lot
probably,
of cases too,
actually, yeah.
They just added an extra bit of silver when it was a robot and an extra bit of kind of brown when it was a person. Also, once upon a time, one of our shows, I told the story about watching the Transformers movie and crying because of Optimus Prime. It was with that family. They'd got the VHS and we all cried together. It was a beautiful moment. Who the hell kills Optimus Prime? It taught me a lot about life, though.
Like right at the start as well. Like it's fairly. If anyone hasn't seen the original Transformers animated movie, go watch it. Like there's a lot going on in that film.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Not everybody makes it that you think would definitely make it.
Yeah.
In fact, not many do.
Yeah. They really wiped the board.
Yeah, they were clearing house for new toys. Right, Paul, on to your next one. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of stick it towards the this is another TV show from BBC which is quite famous. It would be the Crystal Maze. This isn't really a toy but a board game.
Oh, awesome.
It was. I played probably this a lot with certain friends. Kind of thing. It's timed. It was timed when you were doing tasks and stuff like that. There was like little crystals and stuff. It was amazing, and like I always wanted to get one myself and stuff. Like I actually think I might go out and look for it.
And I will play it with you. I will come round and absolutely, because I loved the TV show. I was hooked on the TV show.
Yeah, that was the original like the original one as well when this came out. I think so. I think it's the medieval Aztec industrial zone and sci-fi zone.
Yeah, and future zone.
Yeah, that was the
This
future. Just future industrial Aztec and medieval.
Yeah,
were the four
so good.
first ones.
So
Then they
good.
changed the industrial one to the Titanic.
I stopped watching. I was one of those people that once you messed with your Crystal Maze formula, I was like, it has to be Richard O'Brien. I think that was his name, guy from Rocky Horror Picture Show. It has to be him, and it has to be Aztec Zone, an industrial zone. My favorite. What was your favorite zone?
Oh, sorry, the future, like the space station one.
I love the industrial one because any moment now I felt like the next challenge would be to fight an alien with Ripley. I just thought she was going to come down. They used a lot of like CO2 and a lot of pipes, and it really did look like the last part of the Aliens movie.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, but I think I think it was the original host when they moved it to the Titanic kind of underworld thing. But it's nothing. It's not the same to like the industrial zone where it's just like they had to run and they just get sprayed by like CO2 and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
The
only reason I like the future one was because there was more remote control stuff.
Yeah,
no, that was it.
They were
more remote control cars and stuff.
That was so good. The little trucks that would have the perfect thing for picking up the crystal, so good. Paul, if you can find one of these, let's create a bonus video of us playing it together, and we'll throw it up on on socials. That's awesome. So you went and had a bunch of people that you could play this with.
Yeah, like it's I think it's like 4 players. So yeah, I think we just had it like the person who owned us played us and stuff, and it was just a lot of fun kind of thing, especially when we were just constantly like that was the time when like we were all like I guess enthusiastic and also like kind of like trying to I guess mimic. So like if someone was pretending to be the host, they would always they were just like come with me, and like it was always that kind of way.
You got to get into it. Yeah, absolutely. You got to get into it. And speaking of getting into it, Paul, as I transition from that to my next one, I want to remind everybody that you can find Paul doing such great things as part of the D&D channel Homebrew Quest. So get yourselves on over to Homebrew Quest. I think you'll find the Crystal Maze may well have influenced some part of it at some stage. I am sure there has been a moment when you guys have been together where in the back of your mind you're setting a well, now you're trapped inside and you have to actually shout instructions, or in 30 seconds a bald man is going to lock you in. That's a bit specific.
That'd be great. We should that's just actually a D&D session where it's just the Crystal Maze essentially, but death is always present.
That would be awesome. Well, Paul, I'm now thinking that for any number of subscribers, we should actually have a look online for that, because I would love to have a go with you. I'm gonna be predictable, Paul. I'm gonna throw up Knight Rider kit, remote control car. In a lot of ways, it's the ultimate. But I'm not really going to get deep into the whole how much I love Knight Rider cars or any of that stuff. It's specifically, and I think I found the right one, an old picture. It's specifically that I really liked remote control cars, much as you were just saying, or radio control cars. But not an awful lot of things back then had actual rubber wheels. There was a lot of plastic wheels to things. Yeah. And I remember going to my mate's house, and out comes this Knight Rider. Like, it looked like the real car to me. It looked like you could step into it. Now, looking at pictures here, it's not exactly accurate. But in my brain, oh my God. And then, driving it around by control. And I remember picking it up. There was rubber on the wheels with tread on the tires, like actual tire tread. I thought, this must cost $1 million billion, and your parents must own the planet. Because I'd never seen anything like it in a shop. I'd never heard of anybody I knew owning something like this. It was truly cutting edge. And it was kit. It was Knight Rider's car.
Did it have the flashing light on the front?
It did. It lit up. I don't remember it going left and right very well, but it could have. But my memory is kind of more of just it being lit up. And it's weird that my memory is more accurate about the tires than anything else. Because I could go right back there to that point in time and put my hand on my own little shoulder and go, "You're acting weird right now. You're in shock. It's all right. This will all seem normal in a few years' time." Because I was like, "No way! It has actual tires." It made the car seem real to me as a kid. It's like, it's got tires.
That's the thing. As a person who is growing into essentially a car aficionado, which is completely wrong. But yeah,
I like that though. You mixed up aficionado and fanatic, and I think that kind of covers me. Yeah.
I was going to say fanatic, and then I was just like, I don't know if that connotation is right, because you are...
That's fine, yeah. Born nuts and all about cars.
But seeing a remote control car with actually the rubber tread tires and stuff like that, that would be awesome. So I remember seeing this remote control kind of like tank car with the Caterpillar wheels. Wow. Yeah, like it was Caterpillar things, which I loved. I like, because you could, the whole thing was like, you can take it outside and just bring it into the woods and, you know, drive your remote control car thing. Cool. But seeing it kind of like an actual rubber tire, like, you know, kind of kit, like Knight Rider car would have been amazing. Like
it changed what I thought was possible in the world as like an 8-year-old or whatever the hell I was. But again, I did mention that I grew up in the country. It's not like there was Toys R Us's or anything around where I was, so very few toys made it as far as there. And it was I was obviously well pre-internet, so you didn't really know it existed till somebody pulled it out, and you're like, that exists? Holy shnikes! Yeah,
and then the only other time was like with the Late Toy Show here in Ireland, when they would like showcase a load of toys so that you would actually get to see something other than that kind of thing. Yeah. But also, you weren't, until you were at a certain age, you wouldn't really care.
Yeah, and there was also the will you be let watch the Late Toy Show, because it might give you ideas of things that we're not going to be able to find or buy.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember not seeing that show for quite a few years.
I remember that too.
And I think that was a good safety move on my folks' part, because I would not have understood why the massive giant robot in a TV studio can't be bought at our local shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul, back to you. We've done some Star Wars. We've done some Red Dwarf, Crystal Maze. Street Sharks is a personal favorite so far.
So for this is the thing is, I would have included SWAT Cats on this list for toys, but no one had that SWAT Cats, and no one I knew had even even watched SWAT Cats. So I would have that on it, but it's not on the list. I'm gonna go for my last one, I'm gonna go for the Battlestar Galactica ship.
Galactica itself.
Yeah, the Galactica itself kind of thing. This was the electronic command toy. This is the one that I really wanted, because it had everything. It had the little Vipers in the sides, kind of hanger things that shot out and stuff like that. It had the little bridge thing where you could have people sit in. It was fantastic. I really, really wanted this thing. And a friend of mine got it. He also got, weirdly enough, he got a figurine of the dog thing.
Oh, Moxie.
Yeah, which is a damn nightmare fueled item kind of thing.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't get that reference, I've seen the suit. It's in Seattle in the Science Fiction Museum, and right beside it is the picture of the chimpanzee that they stuffed into it. Not sci-fi's finest moment.
No, it was at a time of, not really having a lot of animal care.
Look, we're going to be talking about a different time in a moment. I know what I'm going to bring up as my next pick, because that's bad, and I think you'll see a lot of sci-fi back then was a different time in some ways.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Battlestar. This was the original series, which was when it came out it was just amazing. I know that also a lot of my toy choices are also probably actually way older than me, kind of thing, like the shows and stuff like that. But I was just infatuated by sci-fi a lot at the time, and some of the greatest sci-fi came out during the 80s, kind of thing.
For sure,
couldn't step away from any of it. So
I know you I'm right there with you now. I had the head start on you, so it wasn't as old when I was watching it. But my God, BSG, still a massive fan. We both are. This is a great pick. I had no idea it existed. If I had known it existed, I would have wanted it. And I told you this story off air. I think I'm going to recount it very quickly on air, as embarrassing as it is. A Viper, for anybody who's not into Battlestar Galactica, is the little ship. I used to make my own out of toilet roll inserts. So when you're done with all the thing, they were essentially a tube with 3 engines. So I would do that and then make little cardboard wings. And for as long as they would hold together, I would pretend that I was launching Vipers off my bed. Hey, I had a cat. There was 2 cats in our family. I got to name one. One of them was called Apollo. Do you think I like Battlestar Galactica? It all adds up. It all adds up.
That's the thing. Yeah, and anyone who would the little orange ships, they're
Yes.
the Vipers.
Exactly.
Thing. And also, if you've seen the new show, you would see them as well.
And they brought back the classic Viper, which that was a moment in the new show that just
I'll be honest with you. The way that they brought the Galactica back into the thing of having it turn into a museum. Like, this is not spoilers for anyone. This is usually the first episode. Having it be a museum and then literally the only ship that survive, or one of the only ships that survive. The way that they do it is genius, and you're so happy in the kind of like, oh, this is why they have the Mark III Vipers and not the Mark IVs that they all love and are all like, these are so cool. You're just like, nah, Mark III's for me.
It you know what, you could make me cry if we talked about that long enough, because I absolutely adore that. Paul, then I've got to go to Buck Rogers, and if you want to talk about some problematic treatment of things, Velma Deering, if you watched the series and how they dressed her and other female cast, it was weird. It was formative for me, but it's weird looking back now. But importantly, the toy that's on screen, I had, but it was actually my older brother's. So by the time I had it, it was in this sort of condition. And if I can talk you through some of its features very, very quickly, if you look at those yellow wings, they're actually retractable. They slide in. So they slide in, and that becomes it becomes just the metal part. And the little grey nubbin down the front, in front of the cockpit, hit that and they spring back out. Spring-loaded wings. Cool as all hell.
That is pretty cool.
But here's the kicker for me. There's 2 little grey buttons on the top back part. If you can imagine that. Actually, I just realised Paul can't see this. You shove some little rockets into it, and you hit a little button and out they come. Problem is, this was, as I say, my brother's. So it was pretty beaten up by the time I got it. The wings that shot out kind of still worked. The springs were tired, and quite tired, in fact. But there was one little rocket left, one little plastic thing to stick in. So I spent an awful lot of time trying to find other things that would also work in it.
Oh, really?
So just about everything in my house at one stage or another was shoved into this to see if you push the button, would it actually fire out?
Did you find anything that worked really well that you can remember?
Not really, no. Not really at all. If you put a matchstick in the right way around and caught the edge of one of the springs, you could just do it with your finger and flick it out. And obviously, at that age, if I could get my hands on matches and a toy, all of a sudden pyrotechnics were really happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mum. That probably was me. Anytime you found a burn on the carpet after you left me at home alone. Moving on swiftly. Yeah, Buck Rogers, again, sci-fi, the golden era. I was watching all the same shows. It's stick with you forever. Paul, I've one more, but you have a couple. Do you want to? I want to give you your chance to get them out.
Well, those two, the castle and the pirate ship, you can put them up on thing. They don't actually adhere to any kind of movie or TV show. They're both from, I think, Fisher Price thing. They were just at a time when you really wanted to. Because I'll go quickly. That you really kind of wanted castles and pirate ships and stuff like that. Not connected to any TV show or anything, but these were big, set pieces kind of thing. I actually thought of one that was actually better, and actually probably would be more kind of akin towards our topic, movies and TV shows. Was the Thunderbird's Island.
Tracy Island.
Yeah, I
Wow.
just think I just saw because I saw the castle and I was just like, oh, that's the Tracy Island Thunderbirds with all the little kind of Thunderbird 1 and 2 and 3 and stuff like that. Man, that would have been amazing. But yeah, these were just nice set pieces and stuff like that to play around with. My friend had both of them, kind of thing, and just really wanted
And
to have them.
they've both got kind of cannon features that look like they're interchangeable, and if I'm not wrong, even possibly a catapult.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
you put the boulder, the grey boulder, kind of into it, and then you could fire it off. You kind of pushed it in and stuff. But in the castle, there was also the you could topple it from the top of that tower, and it would roll down in front of it. You could draw the drawbridge, and then that little kind of window to the left could also open up and stuff like that. And then in the back,
Very
there was
cool.
2 floors and stuff like that, and it was great, but not connected to any kind of movies or TV or anything like that. So.
That's still very, very cool. Very cool. Well, then, Paul, I will throw my final one up. Uh, it was bound to be another car related thing. I wish I wasn't so predictable, but this is a set I actually had. This was one of those times where, and I do believe it may have been purchased in America, because I've lots of relatives there. But the thing you have to understand about this is they made it brilliantly with children in mind. There's a set, and Paul, I will describe it to you. There's a set with a plastic car, which is a relatively big plastic car, because the Dukes of Hazzard was also all about the kind of the trucker CB lifestyle. There was a little pretend
Yeah.
plastic CB thing, but the other thing you had, as well as like a Dukes of Hazzard belt buckle, hey, okay, was a hat, like a Stetson type thing,
Okay.
but it was made out of plastic.
Oh.
So it did not flex with your head at all. The child on the front of the box looks very comfortable because you can tell they got a child with a small enough head that it was definitely going to move around. That hat, trying to be put on a head that it doesn't fit, was the equivalent of trying to force a trash can onto somebody's head.
Oh god. Yeah.
So there was quite a lot of that being kind of waved around or held, but never really placed on head because it would sit on top and fall off. And if you did the whole thing, you would have a line here and a line back there for quite a long time.
I was gonna say, did your brothers use it as a torture device on you? Did they? You know.
Yeah, let's put it this way. My brother was inventive with his ways to educate me, and that hat may have featured once at least. But they were also genius insofar as this is not the best replica of a Dodge Charger. It just isn't. But my God, it's plastic and it was durable. You could fire this thing downstairs and down all sorts of roads and down, country stones and stuff, and it was great. Now, unfortunately, I do have to call out that because this picture's on screen, there's a whole lot of things that I was too young to understand that everybody now knows about Dukes of Hazzard. I have no time for any of that crap. I don't want anybody throwing stuff in the comments about it, and I certainly don't want the last time this came up. I mentioned that I have no time for any of that stuff, and someone's like, "Oh, man up, it doesn't matter to anybody." It does. It's really not cool that that's there. That is part of the negative part of history. The positive part of history is I love Dodge Chargers. I had a larger head than I thought when I was a child. This is the takeaway that should come from this. Nothing else. Um, yeah. Dukes of Hazzard I left till last because I know less people will be watching now as well, Paul. Because the
Yeah.
internet loves to grab onto things and have a go.
Yeah.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
I know what you're talking about, and yeah, it's I have the monkey in a suit that was awful. So
Exactly.
there's just different frames of kind of like these. This is back in a different time,
Yeah.
which doesn't mean that it's the best.
It
So
doesn't mean we endorse it in any way. So, Paul, it's this is coming out and it's going to be kind of Christmas time. It's going to be holiday season.
yeah.
What's your big hope that you land from a frivolous gift type idea? Is there something that you're like, is there anything to do with, I know Foundation is just wrapping up. Have you got back onto your, I don't know, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke buzz because you've been watching that stuff lately?
Interesting enough, the sad thing is that a bookstore in Dublin here is closing called Chapters.
I know it well.
I have bought pretty much all of the Robots and Foundation books. I used to own them, but I rebought the full series of the Robots and Foundation series from Isaac Asimov, which was just fantastic. It's a present for myself, kind of thing, and I really, really like. You might next week, I don't know, depending on how time gets, but you might see it displayed somewhere behind me,
Nice.
kind of thing. But it's just, yeah, that was a present for myself, and I'm really happy that I did it, kind of thing, because like people forget that the Robots, I Robot the book is only the start of the series of Robots for Asimov and stuff like that. So
That's a
yeah,
cool
that's
one.
what I kind of think.
That is a very cool
What
one.
about-
For
about
me,
yourself?
it's going to have nothing to do with cars. Of course, it is because of this trip down memory lane. I'm off looking for little car key card things. But worse than that, I've already found something that I threw in my Amazon basket, and thankfully they were out of stock. But I now have it saved. You know the Funko Pop bobbleheads, that sort of
Yes.
thing. Well, somebody's made a Burt Reynolds in a Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit, one of those.
Oh, really?
There kind of isn't anything more me than that. So do love a Pontiac, do love a Burt. And in his fine memory, it will be when I do get my hands on it, it will be displayed proudly on this very channel at some stage.
Nice.
So when that's back in stock, that's my Christmas present to myself.
Oh, that's nice.
That
That's good. That's a good one.
and also the stuff I'm going to buy you when we hit 2 million subscribers, which thanks to this video, anybody who's watching right now, you can be part of that by clicking subscribe just once, and then you can be part of getting us to 2 million by telling all your friends to come and see, and if they like, they should too.
Just if you're already subscribed, don't touch that button because you will unsubscribe. Don't touch that button.
Listen to that man there, he knows. He knows.
As a joke. So, but yeah, put down in the comments down below, which is any of the kind of toys or anything. Did you want any of these toys that we mentioned? Did you have any of the? Were you that person that had some of these toys, kind of things? And yeah, let us know about your kind of like, I guess, TV or movie related toy kind of like collection or wants kind of thing. That'll be a fun little thing for us. But yeah, which is Patrick. Anything else you add?
Nothing at all, other than great thanks for everybody. I know we have a New Year's Eve type show as well, so I won't do the recap of the year, but big thanks to everybody for joining us. If you're watching this when it's released, I really hope you have a lovely next couple of days. And you know what? If you're in a position where you can't see friends or family, join us. We're your friends and family. Have a little watch of our stuff. Know that anybody who ever watches any of our stuff is already a good close friend of ours, because we really do appreciate your time. So Paul, on that, I hope we both get everything we want, which is 2 million subscribers, in case nobody is picking up the message.
Yeah, if anyone, just this once, just give me, like, for, roll all my Christmases and birthday presents in 2 million subscribers.
Yeah. Tell Jacksepticeye that we said hello. And that
would be hilarious. Do not inundate that man with tweets about us, all right? Because he
means to.
because I also know that Ludwig just joined YouTube, so we've got more competition.
That's right.
A famous Twitch streamer, just to make us more relevant.
Yeah. All of this is going in the SEO below. All of this is going in our tags. All right, folks. On that holiday bombshell, I really, really hope that we do all get what we want. And what I'd love to do is see all next week, when we will have another fine show about something that I don't know what it is yet.
So, I've been Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been Here Is Out.
And we'll
Happy Christmas, happy holidays.
Yeah, bye. Happy stuff.
See you later.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See